Good morning, afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zachary Nolan. Welcome back. If this is your first time tuning in to the channel, thank you so much. It means a lot. Thank you for clicking on it. But yeah, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Really does help us out. We're trying to hit 1,500. Do appreciate every little bit. Now, let's get to the topic of today's video. Grading. I am going to go through every single acquisition the Winnipeg Jets acquired through either prior to or during the 2022-2023 season. What that means is every single player that we have taken, that we have covered in a transaction video, that played a game as a Winnipeg Jet will be covered. Players that only played in the minor leagues, such as Alex Limoges and Ashton Sautner, will not be covered. I also won't cover players who have been in our system before but had their first opportunity, so to speak, like guys like, or got limited opportunities, such as, shall we say, Morgan Barron, technically Dylan Samberg. This was his first proper year in the Winnipeg Jets. Or guys like Mikey Eyssimont, who didn't even finish with the Winnipeg Jets. I will be covering guys who we signed and played with the Winnipeg Jets. And that includes, I will be grading the coaching staff too. And I'm going to say a couple things right off the bat. First off, nobody on here is getting an F grade. I don't really, it's funny, I'm in education. I'm in the Faculty of Education, say that proudly. I don't really believe in giving, it's not that I don't believe in giving Fs. I don't like giving Fs. I don't like seeing a guy as a total failure. However, I will see things as lack of or wasted potential or lack of or harmful, so to speak, play in comparison to other things. I do not see anything as a failure. Now, with that being said, I don't have anyone rated as an A. And that makes sense because if you actually look through this list, not a single player gets even 15 points. Not a single new player on the Winnipeg Jets got 15 points this year. And it's not a huge problem, but, you know, I can't sit here and be like, oh, this is an A+. Like, no, I can't say that. I can say I'm happy with them and I can give them a B, but I can't sit here and pretend to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. And that's kind of what you're asking me to do sometimes. So let's go through it. First off, we're going to start with the highest ranked graded player that I have on this list, an acquisition I have on this list, is Nino Niederreiter. Nino Niederreiter played 22 games for the Winnipeg Jets, recording 6 goals, 7 assists for 13 points. Now, I really like Nino Niederreiter. When we traded for him, we traded 2 second-round picks, which is a little steep price in hindsight. However, we got him with also an additional year on his contract. So there was always that carryover into next year, which means there's some job security and safety there. Now, what did Nino Niederreiter bring to the Winnipeg Jets? He brought a lot of toughness. He brought a willingness to put the puck on net. And it was just more of a drive. Like, there was a drive there, and there was a lot of dedication. Nino Niederreiter has been extremely well-spoken when handling the Winnipeg media, which is not always the easiest thing to handle, lest we forget that the Canadian markets are always a lot more challenging for NHL players because they test NHL players. They put them under the limelight and under a microscope a lot more than a typical American market. No such thing true as that. That is the same as what happens in Winnipeg. There we go. I'm not going nonsense words. And a couple instances I want to bring up here. Obviously, we acquired him because we wanted a guy who could fit into the top 6, but mainly be a middle sixer. He's totally filled that role. He doesn't get a lot of points. Obviously, like, he gets a decent amount, but it's nothing crazy. I believe he finishes with under 50 points on the year. Between splitting times, actually under 40 points, splitting times with the Nashville Predators and the Winnipeg Jets. I believe he recorded around 28 points there. Could be wrong. I don't have the note in front of me. I just have the Jets notes in front of me, actually. But I really liked his accountability as well. I think Niederreiter was one of the most accountable players there for being there for such a short amount of time. He really reminded me of Paul Stastny in that way. They talk about how certain Jets players are less available for media. There was an instance where they talked about how they called for Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor did not show up. They asked to have an interview with Mark Scheifele. Mark Scheifele did not show up. They asked for an interview with Niederreiter, and he came out instantly. And that's a lot of what I want to see next year, is that really solid accountability, that leadership, and just that willingness to put the puck on net, because this team is very, very bad and complacent at that. But yeah, no, B+ for Niederreiter. Let's go down the list. Scott Arniel is going to get the highest rank of coaches. And it's not because I think he would be a good head coach. I don't want Scott Arniel as a head coach. I'm happy with him being an assistant coach. But what he gets a slight edge on is the fact that he took over from Rick Bowness at the very beginning of the year. And the Jets started the year pretty hot, to be honest. Other than a little bit of a dip once they got it, like other than a 2 to 3 game dip, under Scott Arniel, they actually pulled up to a pretty good number to start the year while Rick Bowness was battling COVID. All intents and reports, he's a very good systems coach. It's just that people don't really think he's the easiest to get along with, which I understand. I can see that hard-headedness in him. However, I like this entire coaching staff. I think I should make that very clear right now. I like all of the entire Jets coaching staff. I think all of them are completely well-equipped to teach the areas that they are teaching, shall we say. And no true that is Scott Arniel. Rick Bowness gets a B-. It's a very good grade. B- is a good grade. I don't want to hear any of this nonsense about people that think you need to get A grades or you need to get B+. I am a C student. A B- is very good. The only thing that really holds Rick Bowness back is the locker room. Kind of threw him under the bus at the end of it, and he did lose the room near the end of the season. I don't totally blame Rick for that. I think a lot of it was just True North being unwilling to give him full control and fully, kick that horse in the ass. However, at the same time, he didn't change, right? He couldn't adapt the team to the playoff atmosphere, and they floundered for it. Let's just keep going down the list of coaches. Marty Johnston gets a B-. No problems with Marty, honestly. I have probably the least amount to say about Marty Johnston because I don't hear a lot about him. He's very he does a lot of systems and and working on systems and practice, but you don't really hear enough. It's not like in the past where we've had very defined offensive and defensive coaches. It's a kind of a mix, to be honest, and I don't hate that. I think it adds a lot of versatility. I don't have any problems with Marty. Marty has been very, very nice and very gracious in interviews. He seems very insightful with his knowledge, and I got no problems. Not at all. And then Brad Lauer gets a B-. And honestly, I was debating giving Brad a B. I really like Brad Lauer. I think he speaks very eloquently. He seems to have a very good handle on systems, especially late game situations. Now, what happened is Brad Lauer got sick at some point, and he left. When he left, the power play dropped. Absolutely cratered. Do you remember that that row where we went 1 for 20? That's when Brad Lauer was sick. And that just shows you how much sometimes we really need that systems coach and that power play coach to be there. But yeah, that's the entire coaching staff for you. Arniel gets a B. Bowness, Johnston, and Lauer get a B-. No problems there. Then we keep going down the list. Vladislav Nemeskov gets a B-. He played 20 games with the Winnipeg Jets, recording 2 goals, 8 assists, and 10 points. He also hit, just like Niederreiter, he had a pretty solid, pretty decent postseason. Niederreiter's postseason actually better, but we're not talking about him. Vladislav Nemeskov was good, honestly. I like Vlad. I'd like to re-sign him, actually. I think he fit a lot more natural on the second line than I think we anticipated he would. He was very good at moving the puck, moving it in the offensive zone. He was a really solid option on the second power play unit, which I feel like the Jets actually need a second power play unit that is a power play unit. We talk about the Winnipeg Jets and we're like, oh, wow, great. They got a decent power play, but we're only ever talking about that first unit, and the first unit cannot stay on the ice forever. They can't. They really can't, or they'll give up a shorty. And to have Vlad on the second power play unit is a solid option. He also is pretty good at stick handling and with speed, and he's just a really solid two-way presence. And I want to re-sign him. I feel like Vladislav Namestnikov has kind of been more of a journeyman in the past little while. He's been bounced around a lot of teams just because they don't know where to fit him and how to fit him in the system. And I would like to see the Jets really work on re-signing him. So Vlad gets a B- because honestly, I was impressed with him with his 20 games as a Winnipeg Jet. Now we go down to the C grades. There's a lot of them. C+ is Sam Gagner. Sam Gagner had 48 games played, 8 goals, 6 assists, and 14 points until he got injured, and that took him out for the remainder of the season. This is, there are two grades here that I have really, I know I have to really defend, and I think this is one of them. I really like Sam Gagner as a Winnipeg Jet, and it was honestly a really good feel-good story for me. Sam Gagner was kind of money. Like, we laugh at it, at the very old man just kind of just being there and just wanting to work from the bottom six. But he got goals when he needed to. He gets the game winner in the home opener, and honestly, since then, he is a great presence to have on the ice. He's a calming presence. He's not fast. He's not. So please stop. Don't put him on the first line. But if you can put him on the bottom six, he will take those shots that you need to take. Sometimes we got a little trigger shy, gun shy in certain games, and Gagner would be the guy that would take those shots to the net and create those opportunities. And I really like that. He also would not shy away from a physical game. He even got into a fight at the game against New York that I went to against K'Andre Miller, which personally I think is a death sentence. But good on him. Right after that fight, they fucking scored. So, you know, it's about generating momentum, and Sam Gagner knew how to do that. And he knew how to be he was a very good role model around the community as well, too. I don't like just saying, like, oh, he has great character. But he does. He really does. And also, we got to honor him in his 1,000th game, and that was special. Keep moving down the list. Axel Jonsson-Fjallby gets a C+, and I'm so angry. Because Axel Jonsson-Fjallby should be an RFA, but because we fucked it up, he was 1 game short of being an RFA. So now he's a UFA, so we have to re-sign him on the open market, but we're probably not going to be able to. I like Axel Jonsson-Fjallby. He has a very decent, pretty underrated speed game. His shot is wild, but oh my god, does that kid want to shoot the puck? Like, seriously, you could tell that Fjallby wanted to compete for a spot on the roster, and I was so annoyed that they kept taking him out. He was undervalued under other guys. He was put under Saku Minalainen, Carson Kuhlman, and even Sam Gagner some games, and it really frustrated the hell out of me because, like, AJF is no schmuck. Like, he is decent depth, and 14 points in 50 games as technically a rookie is not a bad get. It isn't, and yes, this was his first proper year as a player on the NHL. I didn't hate him at all. I think he had a really hot start to the season too, which I really liked. He famously gets the game-winning goal in that gunfight against LA, and honestly, he was just solid the entire way around. I liked AGF. Keep moving down the list. We go to the C grade. David Rittich gets a C grade, and I think David Rittich gets a little more hate than he deserves. And we're just gonna run through the list here. David Rittich had 18 games played, 9 wins, 8 losses, and 1 overtime loss for a .267 goals against average and .901 save percentage. I think David Rittich was the perfect definition of a fair weather goalie, we'll call it. What does that mean in my context? It means, or shall we say, an accurate team representation. David Rittich will take you as far as your team will take you. He will not pull you into a game that you do not deserve to win, but he will not cost you a game that you deserve to win. He will not give you, like, pull you through a game you deserve to lose, but he will not cost you in a game you deserve to win. The one thing I will say about that is the second your team starts playing bad, he tanks. Like, utterly tanks. That game against Carolina comes to mind. The Jets are up 3-0, and Rod Brindamore pulls the goalie with 8 minutes left and gets all 3 goals to tie the game. Or 5 minutes left or something like that, all 3 goals to tie the game, and the Jets win in overtime. It's dicey, but he gets you there. Honestly, as a backup, David Riddick isn't bad. It's just that by the end of the season, the Jets were not a team that were outperforming their opponents, so Dave Riddick would not be a goalie that could carry you past those games. There's a couple games that stick out to me where it's like, oh, David, I really wish you could have stopped something there. But I can't really get mad because when we got him as a backup to Connor Hellebuyck, you know he's not going to play many games. He ends up partaking in 21 games. He starts 18. But that's pretty much the load management that you're expecting from a guy who's backing up Connor Hellebuyck. I don't expect to re-sign him this year. I think there are better options on the open market. But honestly, David Riddick as a Winnipeg Jet, he peaked in the preseason, ironically, with a 5-0 win against the Calgary Flames. But I'm okay with his time as a Jet. It's not bad. Keep moving down the list. Kevin Stenlund gets a C-. Kevin Stenlund was an interesting thing. So when we acquired him, I thought, okay, cool. 4th line, whatever, cool. And then he doesn't make the team. He doesn't make the team. He had 54 games played, which is staggering to me. What 54 games? Am I missing something? I do not have him as 54 games on the year. His stats have to be wrong. Like, I'm saying this right now. There's not a chance in hell he played 54. I don't know where it was. But he had a decent end of the season. He even gets a goal in the playoffs, which, fair credit, right? One of few. But he makes the roster late, and he's decent. As a 4th line centerman, I don't hate him at all. However, there's a low ceiling, like a low ceiling. I wouldn't mind re-signing him. He's an RFA, so we have his rights, which is good. He wins faceoffs and he kills penalties, and I was fine with that. He even scored a shorthanded goal, which was nutty. Got to tell you, when I saw it live. I like him as a penalty killer. I like him as a 4th line centerman with protected minutes who needs to win a face-off draw when he has to. But other than that, not much. C-. Now, this is the other one that I think is the most controversial pick. And Kyle Capobianco gets a C-. Fuck you. This is my video. And I'm saying Capo gets a C-. 14 games, 2 goals, no assists for 2 points. We still have Kyle Capobianco signed. He signed a 2-year deal with us. C-. He was the 8th defenseman who became the 7th defenseman when Logan Stanley got injured. And you know what? I got no problems with Capobianco. Was he good? No, he wasn't. Was he bad? A little bit. Doesn't matter to me. He was the perfect 7th defenseman. He was completely okay with where he was. He had, by all accounts, he is a joy to be around. Amazing person in the locker room. And you know what? On a team that didn't really have high expectations, because let's be honest, we didn't. Who cares? Bring him along on the wagon. Bring him along the wagon. He even has a game-winning goal. Do you have a game-winning goal? No. So you can't shit-talk Kyle Capobianco. He's got a hell of a shot, though. I hope he takes the puck more, shoots the puck more often next year. And then we go to the D grades. We have 2 players in the D grades, and as you know, we're down to the bottom 2. Second last is Carson Kuhlman, D+. I struggle with Kuhlman. He played 33 games as a Winnipeg Jet, 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. I struggle with Carson Kuhlman. I really do. Because Carson Kuhlman, and my biggest anger with Carson Kuhlman was that every now and then Bonus just said, fuck it, and threw him on the top line. What? What? He's got 2 goals. And I can tell you the 2 goals he has. An empty net goal against the Buffalo Sabres and the game-winning goal against the Philadelphia Flyers, which he scored by fucking accident. He lost the puck and it went 5-0. Rick, why do you like him? I don't like Carson Kuhlman. And I don't hate him. I don't want to hate on players. I don't want to hate on players that play for the Winnipeg Jets. I really don't like doing that. I don't like being negative. I really don't. I know I'm good at it, but I don't like it. But he's like Austin Pagansky last year. Do you remember him? He played 16 games with no points. Kuhlman just skates, and he's fine. But when you choose to put him in higher positions above other players, you're actively making me hate him because of how you use him. I don't blame Kuhlman. Get that bag. But why are you playing more minutes than Nikolai Ehlers in a National Hockey League game? Anyway, bottom of the list, Saku Maenalainen, D grade. This one hurts. I really was high on Saku Maenalainen in training camp, and I actually had him I predicted him to make the team. Saku Maenalainen played his ass off to get on the team. He didn't record a point, but he was hard, physical, great forechecking, and Rick Bowness really liked him. Now, that was a problem. Rick Bowness liked him a little too much, and Saku Maenalainen has a decent start to the year, but he ends up playing 64 games with 4 goals, 6 assists, and 10 points. His last point being March 3rd. Then he gets 1 assist in the playoffs on Stenlund's goal, which is a fluke in nature, but we're not going to talk about that. The problem with Saku Maenalainen is they gave him way too much leeway. Look at all through the entire list of players I just mentioned. Not a single. He has 14. He has 10 more games played than the next highest player, being Kevin Stenlund at 54. He has 64 games played for 10 points. 10 points! And as a penalty killer, I just see better penalty killers. There are so many options on the bottom 6 that I liked more than him. And it was frustrating to me because I feel like he would have had a better year if you took him out more. If you punished him and put that fire and lit that fire. And I don't dislike Saku Maenalainen. I hope he signs with an NHL team, but I don't want it to be this one, because he would just take a spot from a younger, hungrier guy. And he had that hunger at the beginning of the year. He even said in an interview, "This is my last opportunity to play in the NHL." He played his last year in the NHL before this was 2019 with the Carolina Hurricanes. He was playing for a spot in the NHL. And over the course of the year, due to such a long leash, he just stopped having that drive. And the drive left. And, and don't get me wrong, and I know that people might see this as a theme of, oh, you're just hating on guys who get limited ice time. Why are you going after them? I'm not trying to go after them. But when you look at a team that just won the Stanley Cup, look at how successful that fourth line is for the Vegas Golden Knights. They had Phil Kessel on as a scratch, as a healthy scratch. All of those Vegas Golden Knights players brought something. They brought at least that intensity, that drive. I saw fleeting moments of that from Saku, and they just extinguished. And it's the same with Stenlund. It's the same with Kuhlman. It's the same with Janssen, Fjallby, and Gagne. Even if they got decent grades, there were moments that I saw good things from them that just didn't maintain. And that's why next year, I'm not thinking that this is a playoff team. But I want to see the youth. I want to see younger guys fill these roles that these guys did. Because I believe in them more than I believe in these players. I think some of these players could be solid additions to the Jets, but they need to be on the fourth line. So yeah, there's my grades. We go from Niederreiter, B+, all the way down to Saku Maenalainen that gets a D grade. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's a longer one. I really wanted to cover this. I love doing transaction videos, and I just wanted to kind of do this as like an update. I'll be trying to do this like every year now. Just rating all of our acquisitions. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to leave a like and share it around and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.